Yes, exactly. And to be honest, we are super lucky because now we have Starlink. I think last year it was not possible, the connection we had. When I arrived in Concordia, I was only able to send WhatsApp texts. So yeah, I would say the station really changed over time. So coming from this like rush, it's a little bit like you would be in New York and suddenly you find yourself in a small village somewhere isolated. So it's quite a change of dynamics also.
Welcome back on the Space Info podcast. Here we talk about space and everything related to it. If you are passionate about space, astronomy, technology, and everything about it, you can join all our social platforms at the Space Info Club or our website at www.spaceinfo.club, where tons of content and a community of experts are there waiting for you. This is the Space Info Club.
You can maybe not encounter people for days when you are 13, and you're used to the fact that when you are 17 you meet someone everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, right. So coming from this like rush, it's a little bit like you would be in New York and suddenly you find yourself in a small village
Mm.
somewhere isolated. So it's quite a change of dynamics also inside the crew. And during summer we have really little time together, and then suddenly during the winter months we are all together and only we are together. So you see a lot of changes in in dynamics of teams, and you get you get to know each of the crew members so well, right? Especially for me, because I'm doing all the experiments on the people, so I really need to know them. But they start to become like, yeah, some family members. They start to become like your brothers, and with brothers and sisters, always like you love them, but sometimes they annoy you. So you always have this both sides. And what is really interesting in the station is that you are doing your work, but you're also living together. So it's completely a new field of expertise that I get, because I have never been used to that. So normally you go to your work and then you have your social interactions, your family and so on. But here you are working with these people, and then at lunch you see the people, and then for the film movie night, you see the people. So it's all in one actually, and that is crazy and super interesting, and sometimes challenging as well. So yeah, I would say the station really changed over time. It became more big actually, because when I landed it was super small, and so many crowded people inside even more. But then in winter you feel like, actually I have everything I need, right? And I remember myself telling me when I left Europe to come here, I was super excited because I wanted to do so much during this year. So you are allowed to take 3 boxes of aluminium, which are approximately 30 or 40, yeah, 30, 40, 1 meter and something diameter. And I was not able to choose all the stuff I wanted to put in those boxes. And now looking back from 1 year being isolated here, I didn't really read one books. I didn't really do all the stuff I wanted to do, because you have your work, you have your station, you have your social time with your crew members, and that's basically it. So you don't really need a lot to survive in Antarctica. And I guess that is probably something I could take for space exploration. So the human really needs not a lot to survive. Then obviously there is a question, how long can you survive?
Mm.
But to survive, it's quite yeah, you don't need a lot to survive in Antarctica, basically.
Yeah, so probably this is let's say one of the other analogies with the space missions. So maybe
Yeah.
now you can also have let's say a perspective on the future of them. You say that you are studying the human physiology over there, and
Yeah.
also with your let's say previous experiences and the, let's say the contact of space. So how do you see the future of human health in space?
Yeah. So I would say, we have now entered a phase of space exploration that is really exciting, right? So we had these Apollo missions, and then we had a long time of nothing, or of really, really little advancement in all the space exploration domain. And today, with this Artemis project, the willingness of human to go back to the moon, to go further eventually to Mars, this opens kind really of a new era of space exploration. And this includes also all the commercial space flights. So human presence beyond Earth's orbit is expected to expand, right? And with this, I would say, like, space medicine becomes super important because there is so much we do not know. Obviously, we have these 20 years of research on the ISS, but there is so much we don't know about what does the human body, how is the human adapting to longer stay in space, actually, because we have this about 6 months, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, but there is no data about how would the human body react in going to Mars. So if you have a one-way trip of 9 months, not talking about staying there and then coming back again. So I think this really opens a lot for us to do in the domain of space medicine. And coming back to the commercial space flight, I would say, now we have a completely new and broader range of people that actually go to microgravity. So first, you had these astronauts that do a career, that are trained for many years. Now you have people that suddenly can go to space without this long training phase, without all this prevention that has been done, all this super selective process that really ensures that this human being is healthy enough and that all prevention has been made that a human can actually be in space. So they don't have this training. They have diverse backgrounds, and for sure also varying levels of health and fitness. So space medicine kind of needs now to shift towards, like, providing highly adaptable, user-friendly medical protocols. We need to focus more on what can we do directly, to focus even more on prevention, to be sure that these people will actually be able to go to space and come back healthy, which is the most important, probably. And yeah, I think all this really opens doors for space medicine, and especially also individualized space medicine, because we have seen from studies also in Concordia, people adapt so individually. So it's not that you can say that 90% of people will adapt this manner. So you really need to focus on individualized medicine. And that's probably also what happens in medical research in general. So more focus on the human being individually, and really focus on this specific human body to be healthy and to be treated. So we will need to assess individual risks for conditions like cardiovascular issues, like osteoporosis, of course, radiation, but genetic testing, and so on. So for me, it's completely a new health domain that actually space opens to for us to be working in, right? And another point is maybe just researching in such. So all these new flights, they enable to actually do more research in the domain. And we do have data, but we have little data, knowing that we do the data on astronauts that are in space, but there are not 1 million astronauts in space, right? So having this commercial space flight enables to do more research, to advance more, not only for space exploration, but also for Earth-based medicine. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that you mentioned that actually I never thought about is the fact that, flying to space can be a challenge and also, let's say, a barrier to the most. But the fact that a lot of people will be able to do it is not only the fact that you are removing, let's say, a sort of obstacle from this possibility to many, but this, let's say, this obstacle is also, let's say, a sort of safety net for people who can be selected. And actually, it's a mean of prevention, saying, okay, you are not able to do something. I don't know what happened. They are the challenges of the isolation.
Yes, exactly. And to be honest, we are super
Mhm.
lucky because now we have Starlink. I think last year
Okay.
it was not possible the connection we had. When I arrived in Concordia, I was only able to send WhatsApp texts, no pictures, no videos. And now to be able to communicate with you like that, it's absolutely fantastic, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I didn't know. I thought about that you
Yeah.
had some downtimes or things like that, but okay. So we can
No,
say
it was
Starlink is
yeah.
working well.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I've lost. I'm trying to remember what I was talking about. Yeah, about the fact that a lot of people will be able to travel to space without, let's say, the common minimal requirements that they have today. So this is probably one of the aspects that some people can see it this as a barrier, but also as a safety net for the selection, and to be sure that
Yeah.
selected people are actually capable of withstanding not only the physical environment, but also the mental one, which let's say must be one of the most challenging. Also because you were making the parallelism with the Mars station at the beginning of the talk, and yeah, probably this is one of the most, let's say, test beds, most usable test beds for that kind of mission. And I don't know
Yeah.
if you already had experiments or testing in that sense.
Yeah, so what you're referring to is that research in extreme remote locations is important for all kind, not only for space exploration, but also for medicine here on Earth in remote places. And in fact, here, for example, we have different experiments using ultrasound. We also have a portable MRI, and this is actually super unique in Antarctica because never have before been an MRI brought to Concordia, or at least to Antarctica in all. So that's something that, for example, is important here, and the technology has been adapted to this remote extreme environment. So the MRI that you know from the hospital could never been brought to Antarctica, right? But this one is portable and we could actually bring it here and we can now use it for research, but it's also extremely important for diagnosis on site. So imagine having one of the crew members having neurological symptoms during the winter over where no evacuation is possible, being able to do brain imaging here in Concordia and being able to detect or to exclude a stroke, that's a huge advancement in human healthcare in remote extreme places. And for instance, in Africa, there are still places that are so remote that actually people do not have access to healthcare. And having an ultrasound that is portable and that you can bring there is a huge change of life and can potentially save women's life that can, for example, having a baby and so on. So it can be life changing for people in remote areas. And doing research in this environment, doing research for space exploration, you need to adapt all that equipment. You cannot bring a whole hospital to the moon. It's impossible. So what you need to do is doing research on how could you do the most needed equipment. How can you bring that equipment? How can you adapt? How can you advance augmented reality? How can you use protocols that are automated? How can you do surgery via telemedicine, for instance? That's something that we rely on here in Concordia. So whenever we would have a surgery problem, we rely on telemedicine to communicate with a doctor in Europe to be able to know what to do. So doing research in an extreme remote area is, from my point of view, really important to advance healthcare in general, if we go to the moon or not. But if we stay on Earth, there are so many places that do not have access to healthcare, and that could, really, where this technology really could be helpful. And so
Yeah, one of the things
that's
I was thinking about is actually telemedicine, and yeah, you mentioned it, and yeah, probably it won't be, let's say, as instantaneous as we have here on Earth in the future, because that will be due to the basically physical facts that things cannot be instantaneous in communication due to the distances and all those things. But yeah, probably I was going to ask for sure if it happened, but now I know that the answer is yes, that you had been in contact with other, let's say, medical doctors to perform kind of operational tests or things like that. So yeah, this was
Yeah.
going to be asked. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, since we are only two doctors inside the station, we would never be able to having all the knowledge of all the
Okay.
specialties, right? And we have, in fact, in Concordia, we have a camera that shows exactly what you are doing, and that is relayed to people in Europe or on the continent, to be able to communicate and to be able to have advice directly from an expert in the field. And I think that is also the future of space exploration. You will never be able to send all medical staff of all the specialities to Mars. So the crew would already be complete with only doctors, right? So you need to find ways to go around this, but to use expertise in a way that you can use it in remote extreme places. And that brings me back to being actually self-sufficient inside the station. So places like Concordia also helps to develop what we call life support and environmental control systems. So systems that bring, water recycling, temperature regulation, oxygen, and so on, that are essential for people to survive, whether it's on the moon or Mars or on the International Space Station. So here in Concordia, we have what we call the greywater treatment unit, and it's a system that enables water recycling. And today we are able to recycle up to 80% of the water, which is huge for a station like that. And that prototype has actually been supported by ESA. One part has been used for the International Space Station, and also the project Melissa is continuously working on life support systems for the moon and beyond. So it shows that you need to work with what you have, and you find new methods that can be potentially used for other purposes on Earth. So yeah, I'm really, you see, I mean, I'm living in these remote places, but I'm also really enjoying the fact that we do have limited stuff, limited resources to actually advance research in different fields, not only biomedical, but also yeah, ecological, climatology, and so on. So it's yeah, I would say it's a huge need and a really, really good platform to do research in all these fields.
Yeah, so this is let's say another brick on let's say the big wall of the things that can benefit us from research basically. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that we all need kind of this type of research, this type of advancement. So now everyone can understand how important it is. And before going on, I would like to ask you a different, let's say, sort of completely different question. Thinking about what you were talking at the beginning, so about your career, your selection path, and the fact that I don't know if to become a medical doctor in the Concordia Station there is, let's say, so sort of competition between people as there would be for, let's say, the selection of an astronaut or things like that. But maybe also someone who is listening to the episode is wondering um, how has been your, let's say, your role and let's say, basically, I think that your leadership role is very strong. Let's say also under a, or maybe for me under an inspirational point of view. But so how do you see your role and let's say the women role in general in this kind of environment? Because let's say to my eyes, maybe there is still sort of differences between the roles seen by men and women. I don't know if it works still like that or it's different.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so um I really like this topic because it's quite important to me. So I came from a small village, in Switzerland,
Hmm.
and basically I had the choice on becoming a farmer or a school teacher, but all the basic role models that we had in the 90s. And today I am here because I was impressed by women that do different things in life. And I had this start in a musical career, and my leader, my goal was to become like Martha Argerich. She's one of a very,
Hmm.
very famous pianists. But I had this idea in mind because I saw her. I saw her on TV. I saw her very, very late in my career, really in a concert. But I saw her on TV, and I saw this image of this woman, this powerful woman, and she's really powerful. That was playing the piano, and I was like, yeah, that's who I want to become. That's what I want to do. And that's the person I looked up to. And and this comes back to where I am today. So obviously, women in STEM is a big topic today, and I'm happy it's a big topic because we need to show that women can actually do the same things, that women in STEM can be equally capable of, innovating, of leading, of solving all these complex challenges that have been for a long period of time only dedicated to men. So yeah, I think women in STEM is really important for the visibility. I'm not a quota fan, so I think anyone. Yeah, you need to do your work, you need to arrive where you are, and you need to be legible to do that. But I'm for the visibility, and I think this is what made me to become more who I am today. And I think it's important just for all the little girls out there to see that it's actually possible. Whether they choose a career in STEM or not, it's not the point, but they need to see that it's actually too big. That it's able to become a medical doctor, that it's able to go to Antarctica. They should be able to, become an astronaut. Yeah, all that thing really, really matters. And the only thing we can advance this is through visibility. So that's why women in STEM is super important to me, to empower the future generations, to advance all these little girls in STEM. Yeah. Um, Another side of this, I would say, is, we have seen with many studies that diverse teams actually really outperform homogeneous ones. And especially when you have high stress levels, so for example, space exploration missions, but also Antarctic missions and so on, in all these super, super extreme fields. And I think as long as we show the visibility of women and we enable women to become specialists in their field, we can have a more diverse team, and the more diverse team will be, yeah, we'll have kind of a greater maybe capacity for problem solving and resilience and all these parts of an important mission. So yeah, well, if we showcase the success of women in space and STEM, and showcase that women actually belong in these fields, and you speak about engineering. I, as a little girl, I didn't even know what is engineering, so I become a medical doctor finally because my mother gave me, these little kits for doctors for children, where you have these little stethoscopes and all that stuff. If I would not have received that, I may have never had thought about a career in medicine also. So yeah, again, for me, it's not about kind of fairness or just about a quota. It's really about maximizing the potential actually of a team, the potential of people that work on a specific topic, and to really have these diverse teams in general, not only with women, but with people of all the fields that all bring their own background, which makes it interesting, right?
Yeah, sure. And I think that also under, let's say, the dynamic team point of view, maybe, or let's say, in my view, this is becoming more and more clear, more and more evident to everyone that say managing the dynamics in this way
Yeah.
is the best choice, and probably everyone is starting to know this, and yeah, we are still talking about this today, but evidently is so necessary. And what we can do also now with this talk is just, as you were saying, just communicating and just saying, okay, look, you just have to look and see that this is happening, and this is the best thing for everyone. So what I can do on my side, we can do today on our side, is just letting people know that there are people in Antarctica in a so dynamic team that are working so well together, and this can
Yeah.
be, let's say, extended in every environment, basically, because it's being done in high stress, high performance environments, and this is working so good. This is the best choice. So also scaling this on lower levels of performance of teams of different, let's say, topics is one of the best choice, and things are working better than before because of this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I would say, the reason for me to be here, I mean, the possibility that I have to be here is the legacy of all those women who really worked for this, right? They worked pretty, I mean, really, really hard so that I can be here in Antarctica today, because it's not so long that actually women were not able to come to Antarctica. And today we cannot understand this, but it has been a period of life that has been like that. And so I'm really thankful. And I think that the least we can do today is, as you say, is talk about it and show it to the world that it's possible, and to give the possibilities, at least for all the people, to choose what they would like to become, whether it is possible or not, but at least to have an idea of everything that exists to make their own choices in what they want to become when they're grown up.
Yeah, and also let's say, starting from this with the last topic of of today, I'd like to talk about let's say with a future perspective, looking at let's say space enthusiasts, and also, let's say, yeah, medical space enthusiasts in general. So maybe you can, let's say, look back or look at yourself and seeing how enthusiastic you were at the beginning, and so maybe you'd like to say some advices or something to people who are on the same, let's say, path you were 10, 15 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, you have seen my career, which was quite, yeah,
Which is
changing over time. Yeah, or still is quite changing over time. And today I'm here, and today I'm laughing, but I had a lot of times where I was unsure about
Mm.
what I would become, unsure which path I should choose. I know so many people that always knew what they wanted to become and which direction, and they focused their life on doing so. And for me, it was not the case. So I had a lot of interest, and I actually had a lot of interest in different fields. And today I can say I can manage to put all these fields together. I can do space medicine, I can do extreme medicine. I'm in Antarctica, which always was a dream of me, but independent of all the space medicine part. I just wanted to go to Antarctica. Um, and I can do music, I can give concerts. So I really have a lot of chance to do what I want to do. But what I want to say with that is that sometimes at some points of your life you're unsure. And I had many times where, I had this year of pharmacology, I had this year of biomedicine studies. And I remember saying to my family at the end of biomedical studies, I'm too old to start medicine now. So, yeah, because I was pretty much older than all my study colleagues at that time. But today, looking back, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, because you do what you want. You will maybe find another path. But when you're inside, sometimes you see barriers that
Mhm.
you think you cannot, yeah, go through. But just remember, it's not true. Whatever you want to do, I think for me, it's possible to do it. Sometimes it needs a lot of effort. Sometimes it needs to pass a lot of barriers. I had to pass a lot of stigmas because I was much older than anyone in my medical studies. Today, I'm 34. I finalized my medical studies. I'm in Antarctica. I'm a research doctor, so it's really nice. But I want to go to the US, so I need to redo all my medical studies. But I now see life as a continuum of stuff that you want to do and want to accomplish. And if you really want to do it, you will accomplish it one way or the other. And don't let you stop by things that are not important. Just follow your path, and if you want to do something, just do it. You will be able to do it. So at least it worked for me. I don't say it's always easy, but it worked, and I think life is too short to do things that you don't really want to do. So really do what you want to do and what you're living for, because then you will be good. You will be only good in the stuff that really interests you, and that's what I would go for it. So that, I think, would be my message.
Yeah, so I think that this can be the message for everyone, and the best way to conclude this talk. So I really want to thank you for your time, for the time we spent together today, because it was really inspirational, and you told me a lot of things that I didn't know. So thanks a lot.
No, thank you so much for the invitation. Really, it was a pleasure for me to talk about my work, and really, really a pleasure to meet you also, and to talk about space exploration in the Antarctic environment with you. Thank you so much.